Every family has a problem and everyone has difficulties being a parent.
If social isolation is a risk for parenting, which the research supports, what's needed is supportive programs that actually bring people in the community together to reduce the social isolation.
Teachers have to get involved, because if they don't get involved and something is happening to that kid, you're questioned, you could lose your job.
You bring a group of people together and you say to them, this is your opportunity to express yourself, whether it's about what's happening in your family, what happens in Liverpool, what happens in the local community, what happens in this school. As people find their voices, they'll take that opportunity.
It's got nothing else to do with anyone else, what you do with your kids. To say, oh, I can't look after Molly, or I can't cope, you feel like you're judged.
Yeah.
It's almost a self-perpetuating inbuilt publicity thing that people from Liverpool have, I think. We're salt of the earth, we are. And to a degree, that might be true, because it is a port and it's used to welcoming people. If you speak to the people locally, there's a lot of good heart in the area, there's a lot of friendliness in the area. But Everton as an area is quite isolated. If you don't have to come here, you just pass it by. And the reason to come in here, which used to be the ships, isn't here now. So it kind of grows in isolation, and therefore as a community, it stays very much within itself.
Oh, it was a lovely community. Actually, you had to fight to get it out in this street. You know, it was very good all around this district. Your neighbours and things like that, all the people you grew up with. There was at least 6 of us that used to always go on annual holidays together, you know, to Spain and places like this. All the families, they come along, break up the communities, and this is what happens. The saddest thing for me is losing all the neighbours that you grew up with and you lived with, and the community's just gone to pan. I feel sorry for the younger ones who's come in the street now with younger kids who's still left behind, and their kids can't play with anyone really. You know, there's no one here to play with them.
There's no trust. You know, even women now with children and everything, and you know, you'd say, oh, I'm going on holiday, look after my house. You can't do that now. Give somebody a key to let them in your house and draw your curtain. You can't do it now. You can't trust anybody.
Now I think everyone just tends to shut the door and no one bothers. Like if there was a fight in our street years ago, we'd all be out on the step watching it. Whereas now if you hear any noise or anything, you just sort of have a peep out the window, don't you? And then keep your door shut and don't say nothing to no one. Yeah, it was a better atmosphere and it was more friendly then.
We've got 3 generations of people coming to the club, for instance, to pick up children, to pick up grandchildren. And they all live within a stone's throw of the club. But in terms of how happy and healthy that community is, that's a different matter altogether. Amongst young people that we deal with specifically, there is an almost feral level of violence and anger, whether it's to do with social injustice or whether it's because the parents don't have the parenting skills. Sometimes that is the case. And we know, because we deal with that specifically, that's hands-on experience of dealing with the children that are problematic. And we can see the parents who are struggling. There is a neighbourhood, it is a community, but there's no real place for it to expand into.
So we talk about almost fractured communities, that people want to be part of community, and I think that happens across the country. I think it's heightened in Liverpool because of its long tradition of community, but almost people are wanting that to happen and really not sure how to go about that. And it's almost like there have been communities in waiting, I think.
just tell them tonight, just say Jackie's going to be in 5 minutes. Come on, quick, eat dinner.
It's a very sophisticated recruitment and engagement strategy and based on very good research. That's the first part, getting people to show up once.
Are you sure? Right, come on.
I went to the research on how to get people to show up and the research on how to get people to do something they don't really think they need to do.
What's that? Families and schools together.
It's all in sales. It's all in the research on business psychology, how to get people to buy something where they don't really know that they want this, because we were going for voluntary parental involvement.
All right, so just ticking them boxes, white, British, whatever. Okay, Sonia?
The person says, come try this once. That person should look like you and should be from your background.
Yeah, any qualifications now, and then this one is, what's your current job? Full-time one? What's your professional qualification? Have you got any professional qualifications, NVQs, anything like that? Yeah, in cases and animals. Well, just put yes, and then it says profession, so you want catering and what the job is.
And these are things that reduce the stress for the child. To have their family eat and laugh together in the school building reduces their own alienation and their parents' alienation from the school, increases the parents' feeling of comfort at the school and their involvement at the school, even though we don't ever say, you should feel more comfortable at the school. It's sort of an indirect result.
There's a whole evidence base behind each part of the programme as well, and in particular structural family therapy, where you look at the hierarchy within families, and I think what's happened is that we've had, traditionally that hierarchy has been flattened, and so it's important that we recognise that parents are actually in charge of the family.
So the parent gets lots of practice, and the child gets practice in being obedient to a clear request. So that's embedded into the activities.
The families that we've got, if I'll go through them, we've got Paula, who's got Molly and the little baby.
We count, like the Native Americans do, on bringing everybody who's important to the table in the planning. And that means we need the parents, who are like the parents you want to recruit. We need the teachers, the social workers, we need the community organizers, we need the people who know about depression and substance abuse that might be issues at home.
I have an open mind about parenting programs. A few years ago, when I was very heavily involved with the Children's Fund, one of the biggest barriers that small local projects reported was the interface with schools. Working across those barriers between community and school, between families and school, was particularly difficult even for small local projects who you'd think would have those connections. You know? Just because the group's so big, the numbers, it's just getting everybody through, isn't it? It's not an issue, but it's all FAST I was particularly interested in, because the notion of families and schools together really interests me. So I don't know, I'll be interested to see where we get to in by Christmas.
If we take that issue,
I think what I thought was we'd be creating our own little school community amongst the parents. You know what I mean, don't you? Just like, because you go in the yard and you see different parents standing, don't you? And you do see the odd because you've got parents who go to breakfast club and you've got children who do after school, so some parents miss. You know what I mean? And you used to see the ones who missed other parents, didn't you? And I just thought, oh, it'd be great, you know what I mean, to see them all come together. Yeah. Because it was more of a community, wasn't it? I remember, like, if my mum was sick, there'd be another mum she could phone up. Yeah, you know what I mean, to drop. You know what I mean? Now I know I haven't got that personally, you know, from where I am. But, and I know a lot of parents didn't have it.
We never called ourselves a parenting course because we see ourselves as supporting families rather than teaching them a thing or two. And if social isolation is a risk for parenting, which the research supports, then an intervention that helps bring people together makes sense to me. And so I decided to go another way, which was to have a program where you break down isolation, make it okay to not be perfect, make it okay to ask for help in a way that's dignified and respectful. Like everybody, every parent needs support.
It was difficult because I was only 15, pregnant, becoming a mum. It was basically everyone's attitude against me. Basically, they didn't think nice things. I've proved them wrong because I've got 2 kids now, I'm 22, and I love being a mum. It is difficult, yeah, more financially than anything else. I've tended to buy myself a blender and just throw a few potatoes in a pan and a handful of vegetables. It makes 3 dinners up for it. And usually if I buy tins, which is like, it works out about 99 pence a jar now. Now that out of my budget is a lot, do you know what I mean? I put £20 lecky on and £20 gas. That doesn't last me the week.
We can't live together at all, no way. We can't do it because we always argue and it's not good for the kids, so.
Well, do you not expect to be shouted at when you're naughty now? That's all. Why are you naughty for me but you're not for your dad? That's what I want to ask, that's what I want to know. She was writing kill, kill, kill on paper and basically imitating to stab me. You're just 6 and you're my little girl and I love you to death. What about Lily? And I love Lily as well. But I love you, Molly May, and I can't put up with your behaviour anymore. She's just dead naughty. She's just got no respect for me at all. I'm sick of crying. That's all I seem to do lately is cry. But they want to give me these pills, I call them happy pills, but they bring you right down before they bring you up again. I don't want to have tablets to run my life, do you know what I mean? Depression is a horrible thing, a real horrible thing, and you feel like no one wants to be your mate, no one wants to know you.